I was the most creative person when I was broke, especially when it came to foods. By creative, I mean desperate. Actually, I'm more of a positive soul, so let's change desperate to optimistic. Things like cereal with room temperature tap water or peanut butter and jelly without bread. I would be like a little scoop of this and a little scoop of that. Cheers to my gluten-free peanut butter and jelly, which was surprisingly really good. And I kind of still do that today. These black bean tacos, or quesadillas, if you want to call them that, just argue with someone who cares. They were birthed with that optimistic, glass half full mentality. You notice a can of black beans to dust off in the pantry and barely any salsa to go around and some frisbee textured tortillas. They were so expired, but it passed the mold inspection, so we became friends. This recipe I tried without the salsa and just black beans and taco seasoning. That experience was like tasting something at a restaurant and then going home to attempt it because you swear you know everything that went in it. After the first bite, you're like, bro, this ain't the same shit. You know, it's just not as good. There are a few swaps I've made in this recipe to keep things interesting. So in the recipe, I'm using flour tortillas. I've also used corn tortillas. Only difference is I make them a bit more pliable in the microwave prior to filling them with anything, since they're more prone to crack. I've also used pinto beans, refried beans, refried. Who exactly fried them the first time? Outside of the time of day, is there really a difference between lunch and dinner? I imagine someone cooking up the thought after seeing the last recipe and saying, that's not dinner, it's lunch. I got two things for you. One, I almost always eat dinner leftovers for lunch. Maybe sometimes in a lighter portion size, but almost every time. Oh, and at dinner time, I'm usually wearing my more sexy attire, if you will. You know, the off-white vintage Hanes undershirt with the not so subtle pit stains and unexplainable teeny holes in it. Oh, that just gets the mood going. Two, I would say good for you having the ability or, privilege to distinguish where you want to categorize your meals. For me, I definitely have certain foods that I like at certain times of the day, but for the most part, my body doesn't care if it's 6 p.m. and I'm having tofu scramble. A few things that make this recipe particularly great is that it is extremely tasty and it comes together in that convenience window of 15 minutes. And it also leaves you satisfied, like not necessarily full. Obviously you can eat till you feel that way, but this leaves you feeling like, man, I had a really good dinner or lunch. Now, while all of the meals I'm sharing meet those standards that I just listed, this one in particularly has a leg up. It's the fact that it's great when it's cold. So no microwave, no oven, no stovetop. You could simply bring this to work or hiking or anything else that you're into, slap it on bread that you now can afford, or use a spoon and eat it right out of the container since you spent your bread money on new and sexier white t-shirts. This last meal here is one of my favorite pastas. And it's not just because how much time it takes. You know, it's not just your everyday red sauce pasta. Obviously, the red sauce pastas try to spice it up sometimes, right? You go a little heavier on the garlic, maybe add some basil this time, or even some vegan crumbles into the recipe. But they all have the same base flavor. Flavor on this pasta is incredibly unique, and all those flavors come together to give you that long-awaited mouth satisfaction. That felt weird coming out. Mouth satisfaction. Kind of sounds like a porno. So I used coconut milk in the sauce. Since it's very creamy, it's going to add that smooth texture to the sauce, but it also helps create a good thick sauce really quickly with a very narrow coconut flavor. But say you were allergic, I understand coconut is a little higher on the top allergen list. I would go with a thick plant-based milk, something like a soy or a pea milk. And all you do is cook that a little bit longer than you would do the coconut milk. What that will do is reduce the milk and replicate what you get with the coconut milk. So the only downside of the other milk is that the 15-minute window won't be met. Each of these recipes you could find at my website, linked in the description. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. Let me know if you want more of these type of videos in the comments. Till next time, believe in good. Peace.